चलिए।
आप मुझे वो करेंगे
कर दिए चलिए।
Good afternoon. Do we have ma'am with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon to you, Dr. Sudhanshu.
So we are live now. Good afternoon and greetings to one and all. On behalf of LDC Institute of Technical Studies, Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh, India, I, Dr. Sudhanshu Singh, Associate Professor and Head Department of Management Studies, welcome you all to this international guest lecture series. Since its inception way back in the year 2007, LDC Institute has always endeavored to excel in all academic corners and directions. And under the able leadership of its chairman, Sri Sanjay Gupta ji, and the next generation of leadership being represented by Sri Suyesh Gupta ji, the institute is marching ahead with a vision to provide quality education, quality professional education to rural and urban youth in the nearby areas of the erstwhile Allahabad, the now Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh region. International guest lecture is one such step in its pursuit of continuous excellence. And to begin this lecture series, we today had a very wonderful guest lecture, that is Mr. Professor Ali Akasab from Bangladesh, Dhaka University, Bangladesh. And now in the second session, we have another wonderful and very prolific speaker, Dr. Suchi Dubey, Associate Professor, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dubai. She belongs to School of Business. We formally welcome her, though let me admit some of the scholars, those who are joining. Before we come on to the formal part of the session, we had Mr. Ankit Verma ji with us, who would be introducing all of us with the college and its development. Shri Ankit Verma ji.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, audible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Uh, First of all, I would like to let you know about the LDC Institute. LDC Institute of Technical Studies started in the year 2007 with the noble cause of providing higher education in the field of engineering and management. The institute featured a perfect combination of basic elements of modern education system, that is faculty, students, curriculum, and placement. The institute has not only succeeded in providing aspirants with professional education of the high standard, but also placing them in reputed companies and organizations. The academic program includes the mission of making knowledge work, which is achieved through experimental learning and national and international exposure. Our vision is to be recognized as an acknowledged center of academic excellence of human value in the field of management, engineering, and technology education by all stakeholders. Our mission is to impart world-class education in the field of management and engineering as per the modern needs. That's it from my side. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shri Ankit ji. I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to extend the heartiest welcome to my old friend and colleague, Suchi madam. She has been a wonderful speaker, expert and authority in the area of finance. And now she would be handling and talking us about the data visualization, the subject from the analytics part. So I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to extend the heartiest welcome to such a doyen of management studies. Ma'am come from a wonderful institute and a great land. So we welcome you, ma'am, to this holy city, and we are grateful that you spared your valuable moments for us. And just on a single writing, you got agreed to our request. And what a humble human being you are. This is something that has to be learned from a person like you, an academician like you. So let me take this opportunity to formally introduce you all to what ma'am, to the journey of ma'am. Let me take you to the academic journey of Honorable Ma'am, Dr. Suchi Dubey ji. Dr. Suchi Dubey is an associate professor in Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dubai campus. She is having almost 2 decades of experience in teaching and research. Before joining Manipal Academy, she has worked with various United Arab Emirates based universities under different capacities. Dr. Dubey's area of teaching is finance, analytics, blockchain, and research methods. She has actively involved in research related activities, and her research work is published in various journals of repute. She also has a patent in the field of her research and is actively involved in guiding students' research projects, providing training and delivering sessions in various universities and forums. This was so brief, but her journey is so excellent and is so vast that cannot be completed in a day. So thank you very much, Dr. Dubey, for being with us today. And it is over to you. Please enlighten our students.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sudhanshu, for such an elaborative introduction. I'm a very small person, to be very true.
Oh, so humble, so humble. You are so humble. You have always been so humble.
Every day is a learning for me, and probably personally, what I think that the things that keep me young is the students around me. So I think the whole credit goes to the students and the wonderful institution that I have worked for, and the best of the best colleagues that I happen to work for. You are one amongst those. So it is my privilege to be a part of this international guest lecture series. The pleasure is entirely mine. Thanks a lot. I'm thankful to the Institute as well for providing a platform to connect to the students of my own city. That is something always being very close to my heart. Whenever I happen to get a time to go to India, visiting Allahabad, that is Prayagraj, is one of in my bucket list. So I'm completely I'm privileged to have an interactions with the fraternity there and the students of Allahabad.
Most welcome. Whenever you come next time, do visit our institute.
For sure, Dr. Sudhanshu.
Thank you.
So is it good to go to
Yes,
share
it's
my
over to
slide?
you. It's over to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dr. Sudhanshu. I'll be sharing my screen and would like to confirm that it's visible.
Yes, visible clearly.
Right. So in terms of the audibility and then the visual,
Yes, clear. Everything clear. Everything.
Thanks a
Audio,
lot.
picture, everything clear.
Thanks for the confirmation. So a formal beginning for the session that I'm going to take. Myself, Suchi Dubey, and this is my almost 15th year in Dubai. I work for Manipal Academy of Higher Education, which is one of the international offshore campus, and I'm associated with School of Business as in capacity of an associate professor. My core area, as what discussed by Dr. Sudhanshu, is into finance, analytics, and blockchain. And the patent that I had is into the blockchain and fraud detections in finance. And a lot of other research work that is a part of basically finance and analytics. So when the whole discussion was going on onto the session, the reason that why I chose area of an analytics, because that's what one of the best upcoming area. Down the line, if any of the students or the learners, they are foreseeing their career 10x, 5x from now, the career will be data driven, the career will be technology driven. And that's where it is very crucial for our students who are coming from a business background to know and to have a better understanding of what exactly that happens in analytics. Because most of the time people do believe that analytics is something to be done by the engineering, and people are of the opinion that analytics is something which needs a lot of programming, a lot of coding. There are altogether a lot of things that analytics bring to the learners. It is completely dependent on the learners that which area of that analytics, as well as in the science and decision science part of it, they wanted to go for it. So considering the cutting edge technology that we are into and the future that determines today, I thought of that no topic other than data with a story and art of data visualization that I can discuss it further. So I'm sure all of us come across a lot of things every day by which we are contributing data to the world. Right, the day when your day starts, the first and foremost thing I think perhaps most of us does is to look for our phone. Even when we are sleeping, we'll try to run around our hand to find out where our phone is. And probably the first thing that we do is to go on to WhatsApp just to see that how many of you have sent any emails, messages. Then you will go on to your emails. If you have time, you may browse some newspapers. So every human being who is connected to the WhatsApp has its own objectives to meet. Maybe for the learners, they prefer to be more on Instagram. So they wanted to see that what all new reels have been uploaded. The moment you are seeing this, the moment you are replying, the moment you are doing anything there using that technology of WhatsApp or of Instagram, you are basically adding lot of data back to them. So data is everywhere, and every data has a story. And think about that in case if you have lot of data surrounded by you, how confused you will be. What to do with this data? Data is humongous. Data is voluminous. Therefore, it's a kind of a black hole if you don't understand the data. The most important aspect of the data that every data has a story. All you just need to do is to be good into the analytics part of it, and then the acting as a storyteller. And that's how you should be able to gauge the missing woods from the tree, and that's how your journey will start beginning on to as an initially as an understanding of the data, moving on to playing around with the data along with technology, finding new insights, which leads to final informed decision making. So with this context, I would like to start a session. And this is my session plan that by the end of this session, you should be able to at least gauge 3 areas. The first, you should be able to understand how significant the whole concept of data as well as in data visualization is. The second part, once you understood what is data and what is visualization, Are you able to come up with a storytelling mechanism that every data visualization is trying to come up with? And lastly, we will be able to see some of the best visual of 2021 and 2022, which will give you an understanding that once your humongous and voluminous data is put into action, how good insights and good decision making can you make from all of those visualization? Before I begin, by formal way, by laying up the session plan, I would request all of you to run through this, which means that you're not supposed to mug up each and everything. Just run through right from one to the cognitive last part of it. And then I'm giving you almost like, say, 30 seconds. And then I'll have few questions. You are free to post your questions onto your moderators. Okay, so close by to 30 seconds. The first one is talking about processing 60,000 image faster. Who does that? This is one of the outcome of the research. The second one is also talking about some of the research finding which say that human mind can see an image for just 30 milliseconds and store the information that is provided to it. Next, 36,000 visual image per hour. Fourth is again 40% of the nerve connected to the retina, and so on and so forth. If I just quickly go on to the last and second last part of it, it says that the second last bullet is basically saying that just in case if we happen to see any picture rather than any text, that has more superiority effect, that is with us for long than what we read. So this means if you club things with picture, you will have more retention power. This is what the outcome of the second last bullet it's all about. Lastly, the psychologist Jerome Bruner have suggested that we are almost 22 times more likely to remember a fact when it is in the form of a story. And that is only because of this. I'm sure that when you were small, you may have come across a lot of stories which you still remember today. Maybe the stories might have been narrated by the grandparents or by your mother or by your father, but you still remember those stories because the stories is a kind of an experiences. Your brain has visualized. So the moment when you are reading something, you visualize things. So think about it. If that is so impressive, how about if you see them in the form of the image? So that is more recollecting. So my objective for showing you this this slide is not to give you the information, is not to give you that what is the research outcome, so on. I want you to let me know that what was the problem area in the slide. This is the slide, right? This is the slide that I just now spoke. And basically the crux of all of those things, you're going to find it here. So I wanted to know maybe just a couple of answers that what is the problem area in the slide. There is a lot of problem in this slide, in the research insights. Can you highlight the problem area that you encountered? I would request to please mute yourself.
Please, everybody, please mute. Mute yourself, please. Kindly maintain the dignity.
Okay, so just one or two answers. What is the problem area in the slide? Dr. Sudhanshu, if you have received any comments, let me know.
Oh, we are checking. You please carry on.
Okay.
Students are still judging and still taking care of what is going on.
That's fine. I would request you to find out, is there any area you personally found a problem in the slide?
In the next slide, the visual.
In this slide, in the slide, which is written here, research insight. What is the problem that you thought it is, as per you?
Let me go through it.
Isn't it? There's a lot of information that I have written. Try to give lot and lot of insights on it
So
in the
many,
same slide.
data, so many statistics,
So many data. Absolutely, absolutely,
Statistics.
absolutely correct. That there is a lot of statistics that I have discussed, and there is a lot of information that I'm trying to share, which is not the correct way of sharing, right? I would have completely transformed this research insight into something else. And if I would have transformed, let's see, how does that look like? So the visualization, so what my concept is that if at all you're coming across something in a textual form, no matter that there are few statistics, few research outcomes you are discussing, but if you are going to visualize, it will help us to recall. If I'm going to show, if I'm just going to paint the whole information with a kind of a storytelling and data, it will be having long lasting effect. So as per this, when you hear information, you remember only it for 10% for it for 3 days. So that's what it is. Hearing information will last only for 3 days, then to only just the 10% of it. But when you see the information, you will be able to retain 65% of the content for another 3 days. So definitely, it is always good to see the information because that will increase the recall. So what I did next is that I wanted to recall what all things that I have discussed in my research insight. So the first one is that our brain process image much faster when we are showing that in the form of the picture. So maybe the same information which is written in the text form, if I'm going to club that with a kind of an image and knit a story around it, our brain is going to process that much faster. The second one, stories are memorable. They are always memorable, and that is the reason whenever we are conveying anything, any communication, if we can support those communication, those insights, those decision making with supporting data, with supporting visualization, that is long lasting. The next one, which was again discussed in my previous slides, that 40% of the nerve connected to retina. So if I want to convey this message, I should better be showing this with the help of the image. This is what just now have been produced. Then there was a concept, if you remember the second last bullet that I discussed, picture superiority effect. This means when you see the picture, you remember it for long. 65% of your content will still be retained in your brain for another 3 days. That's how the first image, you can see that caution, slippery when wet. It's just an information in a textual form, probably might not be that appealing. But think about it. Most of the time when you visit a mall, when you go to somewhere where they have just recently applied the mop, so they are going to put a kind of a placard that wet floor, slippery floor. And instead of even writing the text, they'll just, that icon is sufficient enough to convey the meaning. So that's what exactly is the concept of picture superiority effect in visualization. And then there is one of the points that was also discussed in the previous slide, that the average human attention span is nowadays, it's just 8%. It was in 2012 seconds, it is in 2013, it's 8 seconds. So our average span time that we spend in listening things, it is continuously reducing. Even the goldfish is having more average attention span than humans. So human perception, that matters a lot when you are coming across a data and when you are wanted to produce some insights in terms of the analytics. And analytics has an important role to play in terms of how the brain processes this information. So there is one concept of pre-attentive processing, which means that whenever there is any information, it is subconsciously obtained from the environment before we begin to process. Now that's very abstract, that's very scholarly, too difficult to understand that what exactly that does it mean. So it is good if I can show you one image which will help you in understanding it a bit. Now, suppose this is a question that I asked, that how many 7 do you see? Now it's very difficult to identify. Maybe you have to spend another 40 seconds, 50 seconds on it to identify that how many sevens are there. And also when you're searching 7, you're getting jumbled up. So your brain and your eyes are basically jumbling up the thing, and it is taking almost 40 minutes for you to scan that how many 7s are there. Some of you might have calculated by now that how many 7s are there. But when we talk about data, data is not this small. Data is huge. So if I wanted to analyze this data, that I still wanted to chase the same question, that how many 7s I can see in this whole number set, what should I do to make it more appealing? What should I do so that my brain instantly identify how many 7s are there? So you may get an answer almost like that you have to make it bold, you have to change the color, you have to make them big. All of these things your mind started processing just to find out that it should be a face in the crowd. So 7 should be the face in the crowd so that you'll be able to identify it. So as per the suggestion, I did the same thing. Now, how you are processing this information? Very quickly, your mind is focusing just on 7, and you are calculating and coming up with this, that it is actually the total is 10 or whatever is the total number of the 7 that I can see. Still, I found one problem in it. Still, when I am looking for 7, I am getting lost in terms of the other digits which are next to it. So in what way could I made it more better? I have to just stop the environment actually. So the environment was a bit hazy. What was the environment? This 9, 8, 3, 4, 6, all of these things are hazy. That's a noise in my data basically. That is not letting me to spend less time in understanding the data. So I'm going to just keep a full stop to all of these noise while doing this. So what I did, I just faded the environment. At the back end, I just faded all the numbers. Now 7 is more prominent. And it is very easy for us to identify. And that's what exactly every time when you are dealing with data, you tend to do. Similarly, some of you might have seen the kiwi first as a fruit. Some of you might have identified the triangle first. Now, this is not a question that what comes first, is it the egg or the hen? And that is not exactly the question that I'm going to ask. That is it the kiwi that you saw first, or is it the triangle that you saw first? The whole idea behind showing you this image is that you are able to identify the triangle, right? So the kiwi is cut in such a way so that you are able to identify the triangle, and that is what your pre-attentive processing means. Pre-attentive processing means from the environment, I could make it out something. From the environment, before something is processed, I understand what is it. So the moment I've shown this image to you, you understood that there is a triangle in it. And that is what a human perception, whenever you see the information coming your way in the form of numbers, in the form of the image, you process that much faster than what you process in terms of books that have been given to you to read. So that's how nowadays, most of the time, if you happen to see the reports, if you happen to go through the magazines, it is very catchy. It is very catchy in a sense of a lot of images are there and less of the text. You remember your olden days when comics was there? Probably you guys are too young for it. I'm talking about my time when there were comics available all in different colors, different characters. You have less to talk and more.
We are children of that era, comics era.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's how when I said, so I found that the students
only you will respond.
Yes, probably I'll be the only one who will be responding. So absolutely correct. So the color, the form, the spatial and movement. So the color, form, and then how are you going to show this? That's also matter in terms of human perception. Let's talk about something on data, because data, whenever you happen to come across a data, most of the time as a non-engineering background students, most of the time they will come up with that data means numbers, data means figures. Now, data is not only just the numbers and figures. So there are two ways in which data is available nowadays. It is structured data, which is always in numbers. You have rows and columns like in Excel. So very structured, organized data. And then unstructured data. And just by looking onto this hexagon, 3D view of this hexagon is basically giving you an indication that the world around in which we are living, it's 80% of the content that you get to see, the data that you get to see is all unstructured data. And what are these unstructured data? What could be few examples of these unstructured data? It's the same data that every morning you send to your friend by giving a thumbs up to him on his picture. It's the same data when once you are writing any emojis, today is my bad day, not in a mood to come to the university. You're conveying things not by text, rather all by terms in terms of the emojis that you are sharing, the emoticons you are sharing, the icons you are sharing. Not only that, emails that you are writing, it's all unstructured because it's very difficult to structure them into certain order of rows and columns. So anything that doesn't fall apart in rows and columns, we classify them as a highly unstructured data. And as you can see that because most of the time the data is in unstructured form, it is too difficult to process these data. And all of these hidden gems, hidden information are there in your unstructured data. You might have, I'm sure nowadays most of the kids, they are well versed with online shopping. So what do you do in online shopping? You go on to say Amazon, some bundle offers are going, some Diwali bonanzas are going. You go and then you order something. You will get that probably within 2 days. After that, once you receive, chances are there that you will also receive an email, maybe down the line after 3-4 days. And then in that email, it's not a thank you email, by the way. It's an email which will write that people who bought this have bought this also. And then downside, if you have, say, bought a new laptop, then another recommendation you have got that there is a new brush, a vacuum that came by which you can clean your laptop. Now, what on earth is prompting them to come back to you with a vacuum brush for cleaning a laptop? That's not required. And you didn't ask for it. You didn't even look for it. What they have done, they basically look around for your recommendation, the things that you are browsing, what all websites you are going through. Based on that, they completely customized your browsing history. And based on that, they are going to recommend you something, right? So it is as good as that when you are browsing your mobile phone, when you are, say, on Google, the news that comes to your Google is absolutely different to the news that comes to your friend, because it all depends on your browsing history, what you're browsing. So if you're among those who are much more foodie, most of the time you are looking for restaurants around you, wanting to go and have a nice time with your friends. So what happens? Most of the time you will be getting a lot of recommendations related to the food and any other street foods which you tend to enjoy. Unlike the other friend who is more into Bollywood, who is more into searching for actor and actresses. So most of the time he is going to get a recommendation likewise. So based on your browsing history, they are going to come up with the recommendation. So what was the purpose of this slide? It is completely that data is available into two forms. You have structured and unstructured data. Altogether, what we wanted to discuss is 5 V's of data. Fortunately, I'm able to see only 4. And the 5th one, it's something you have to come up with once we are this. Guys, I'll just request, can you please mute yourself? It's too difficult. There is a noise at the back end. Please mute yourself.
I would request everybody to please mute.
Okay, so the 4 V's of your big data. So big data is humongous, voluminous data. Do not do. So you are almost completely into a black hole where there's nothing visible. You don't know what is it. You don't know which world you are into because you have been surrounded by volume of data. Think about it right from the start of the day till you go to a bed. There's a lot of things that you keep on generating using your mobile phones. If you have a smart TV or smart TV is connected to the Wi-Fi, and then there are a lot of things that you're seeing there on it. So there's a lot of input, output of information goes on, and then there is a repository on which it is being created. So there's a humongous data every day, every second we all as in citizens, we all as in global citizens are contributing it. So there's a scale of data which is too voluminous to handle. You can see that most of the companies in United States has at least 100 terabytes of data stored. And there's a lot of data that we produce every day. So your data is a voluminous data. Then the second component, there is a variety of data. There's a lot of variety in the data. You have a data which is structured. You have a data which is semi-structured, which you have a data which is completely unstructured. You are the one who prefer to write things in a shortcuts. You are the one who uses emojis. You are the one who writes long emails. You are the one who prepare an Excel file, rows and columns. There's a lot of variety in your data. And then the speed at which your data is growing, that is also massive. The last one, veracity. Veracity means this is something we call it as a trust. So veracity means the truthfulness in your data, how good your data is. All four V's together, these companies, most of the companies worldwide are running after these data. Everyone is talking about getting data because they believe that there is a story in the data, because they believe that if they are going to process this data, it is going to be some useful information and findings for their business. And that's what exactly it is. Every data is unique and every data has a story to discuss. So once you have volume, variety, velocity, and veracity, truthfulness in the data, together, you're going to process this data with the help of a lot of data sciences area, as well as an analytics area. Analytics is fairly one such area which is very close to the management science. Data sciences, which is core towards an engineering. In some of the countries, students can migrate from completely non-engineering background to a core data science background that's completely open. Some of the countries have their borderline that if you're not from engineering background, you cannot go to the data science, or if you do not have maths background, you cannot go to the data science area. What we are discussing is an in-between area, which is analytics, which is open to the engineering students as well, which is open to the business students as well. And there is a lot of job requirement, upcoming job requirement, a lot of internships coming, convertible internships that are coming the way towards when they are searching for the resources, the learners who have an understanding of the business analytics. So that is something I think you need to have a part and parcel in your future prospects. So definitely think about the analytics. All of these four things together will create a value. That's what exactly every company is chasing after. Everyone is after. Have you ever thought about it? If you need to download anything from App Store, from your Play Store, what happens? Think about it. I wanted to download and say Instagram, and I cannot do so unless I will give permission to the app that they can access my messages, they can access my photographs, they can access all my galleries. Think about it. If you are the one who is completely into privacy, say no to it. The moment you say no to it, you will not be able to install the app. So at the back end, what has happened, your whole data has gone onto the app. Definitely there is a disclaimer. The companies, they have a very strong cybersecurity and data privacy policies. They are not going to share their data with any of the counterparties, third parties, but they need that data. They need that data because there is an insight in that data. There is an information that is there in data, and using that information, they will create an value in their whole decision-making process. So art of storytelling is very important, because how good you are into storytelling, that's what determines a good learner. And especially for the business students, it is always recommended that you should be able to speak not only what you know, rather than speak what you know and you do not know as well, because that's where your learning will happen. The moment you will say something which is not correct, and the other person have an information, he is going to correct you there. And that's where your learning will start. But at the end of the day, it also matters that whatever you are communicating, are you communicating in such a form so that it has a long-lasting impact? So therefore, sometimes you are having an idea, you know a lot of idea, but you fall short of words, you have no words to express. Sometimes you have a very good command over the language, but you have no idea to communicate. Therefore, when we are saying art of communication, it means that you have an idea and you know how to communicate. And there's no rocket science involved there. And in order to be a good storyteller, in order to be a good communicator, you should not be a born communicator. You should not be a born storyteller. This is something, an art, which is over the period of time, by skill, you can develop, and by practice, you can hone it further. So art of storytelling is nothing of that sort, that it is a trait. It is no way it's a trait. It's a skill. So if it is a skill, it can be learned over a period of time. So I have few images to discuss, which will help you basically a kind of a metaphor you to understand that what is data and what is analytics. Now, all of you can see here that there's a butter, then there is some other ingredients. You have mozzarella cheese, you have pistachios, water, sugar. This means I'm talking about some ingredient, right? So I have a plan of making something, and this is the first thing I have gathered the ingredients. So say I have a plan of making a very good paneer curry. So I should be knowing that what exactly do I need. So especially here in this part of the world, we have nice dishes. So this is the image of one of the very, very famous Arabian dish, which will be the final end product I'll take you through. So this is the first. So I have gathered the ingredient. So what should I do after this? I wanted to make a dish, right? I wanted to create a dessert. So it's a sweet dish that I prefer. So I'm basically preparing and virtually offering you guys to have just a virtual taste of that dish. So I have gathered around I've gathered around the ingredients.
So lazeez.
That's very good, sir. By the time you'll see the end product, then you have to tell me how good it is. So that's the ingredient part of it, right? What should I do next? Now I have to prepare it. So I should be skillful enough to process. Else, if I do not know what is the quantity I have to add for mozzarella cheese, how much water do I need, what is sugar that I need, so chances are there that I'm going to create one of the most disastrous dishes, right? So I should be skillful enough. And again, it's a skill which can be learned over a period of time. So I should know that how to knead, how to bake, how to do this, that. So this means we are calling this phase as a preparation phase. So I had an ingredient, I have a preparation. Once the preparation is over, my dish is ready to use. And during my last visit to India in Lucknow, I've seen this dish available there. I'm not very sure about Prayagraj. Probably Dr. Sudhanshu, you can correct me if this dish is there available in Prayagraj. If not,
is this firni?
No, this is
sevai.
Yeah, the top coating is a sevai basically. It's an Arabian dish, very famous in Dubai. It is known as kunafa. So it is basically a cheese which is sandwiched between the sevai, basically semolina, these sevai. So that's a very good dish, very good in taste. But what was the whole purpose of
learning from YouTube? We would try this at home.
Absolutely, or I'm sure Amazon might be selling kunafa there in India also, because I have found this dish in Lucknow, and that was wonderful. Try. It was really good.
We'll try.
So I had an ingredient, I processed, I prepared, and I have prepared a food, a dessert, which is ready to be served. Now, what is the relevance of all of these pictures when we talk about analytics? So when we talk about analytics, ingredient is our data. And that's where everyone is very choosy about it. You might have seen chefs, right? They are very choosy in terms of what synonym that they have to use. The cloves and cashews are coming from this area. So they are very choosy in it. So the ingredient is basically the data. Students, can you please mute yourself? There is a noise at the back end.
Please, students, I would request everybody to please mute yourself. Kindly maintain the dignity.
Okay, so your ingredient. Ingredient is your data. That is what every company is running for, chasing it for. Preparation is your analytics. What to take, what to leave, how much to add, how much to do away, what to discard, when to discard also, and how to get the one that you are looking for. That's all the beauty lies in that analytics process. So analytics is more towards a science part of it. Once it is done, your food is ready. So what is the end product in analytics? Your end product is an informed decision making. So we all are surrounded by data. We have very good informed tools and techniques and applications in terms of the analytics. And if we are going to mix these two together, it's an informed decision making that we are talking about. And if I just give you an understanding that what is this data business analytics it's all about, it is not at all something new. I'm sure you have gone through a courses of business statistics. During our time, we have undergone a course of business statistics where we have to do the calculation, completely manual calculation. Maybe you guys are privileged enough. You might be using scientific calculators to calculate your statistics. Business technology, business statistics clubbed with technology is what we call today as data science. That's what a data science is. So there's nothing new in it. It's only the way that we are offering clubbing things with technology, because technology has that capability to process things much faster than what we as a human being can process. So ingredient analytics and informed decision making, this is what the whole concept of data analytics or a business analytics, how good you are into conveying. This, your sweet is ready, mithai banke tayar hai, but you are not able to sell that that dessert. That what matters a lot. So you have to club this whole thing in an art of storytelling to give the best of the best feature to ensure that it will sell well in the market. And that's where the skill part of it will come. Okay, so stories with numbers are always easy to understand. Here is just a breather for you. So there was a patient and he went to a doctor and he was on a very critical stage and he asked, "Doctor, will I survive this risky operation?" Then the surgeon said, "Yes, I'm absolutely sure that you will survive this operation." And then he was very keen enough, right? Patient ko samajh nahi aa raha tha ki doctor itne confident kaise hain. So then he, out of curiosity, he asked, "How can you be so sure that I will survive this risky operation?" Right? And then he gave this answer. That 9 out of 10 patients die in this operation, and yesterday died my 9th patient. So actually, he has clubbed everything in the form of a story, right? So now we are very sure about it that he will survive this operation. So this is just a kind of an eyes breather, nothing to do with business analytics and data visualization. But there is one point which is important to isolate. That's when you give an information with numbers, it adds more value to your answers. So the same thing, a surgeon might have given an answer, "No problem, I have been doing a lot of operations for almost like 10 years. I'm a seasoned surgeon, don't worry." All of these things perhaps not be so effective as what this, the kind of an answer that a surgeon has given, that how effective it is. So yeah, that is something, don't take it personally. It's just a kind of a breather, just to keep you arrested in terms of the sessions that is going on. Okay, here is one of the picture. So there is a very big, massive ship that I can see, and then I can see front end is something like another ship, right? And then I want my learners to interpret the result. So in case if any one of you, feel free to write your answers to the moderator. In case if any of the moderators wanted to be a part of this, just interpret what exactly, it's completely your perception, what you are seeing.
Vessel, ship.
Okay, so there is one ship and then there is another ship in front of it, right?
Right.
So what is the perception? What is happening? So maybe you might be thinking that a small ship has been, or maybe a big ship has been towed by the small, or the small has been towed by the big, right? So maybe it got
big being by
anything.
The smaller one, big being towed by the smaller one.
Okay, so big is driven by the smaller one. So it's completely the perception. Whatever way our mind processes the information, absolutely the same, the thing. And the thing is this, that there is no correct answer to it. It's a perception. But now I'm going to club this with numbers. And what the numbers say, that the front one is basically, if you recollect, probably those who belong to my age, it's a Titanic. That's an image of a Titanic, the front one, which is a smaller one. And the bigger one is one of the ship, which is, I think it's an Allude of Caribbean. That's the name of the ship, which is symbolizing that current ship, modern day ship, which is the bigger one, is probably 5 times bigger than the Titanic. Okay, so that's maybe when we are looking at it, the perception differs, yes, because the way we are processing this information, it's absolutely different from others. But when we club this figure, it has more value in it. So I can see that, yes, it is 5 times. And if I would have asked, okay, what do you think? How many times it is bigger? Some of you might have given 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, but the correct figure is 5 times. So that's how I have conveyed the information without numbers, without words. I've conveyed these things using visuals. And that's what the beauty of your visualization is. This is the Galileo of graphics, according to the Bloomberg's business, Edward Tufte, and he is the main, I would say, the anchor behind a lot of data visualization things that is happening nowadays. I would say whenever you get time, please do go on YouTube, try to find him, who is he, and you'll be amused to see a lot of videos which talks about marketing analytics, which talks about data visualization in finance. So it's very good. The reason why I want him to be a part of this virtual platform, because that's where I think this is a takeaway from the session, that you have to chase him. You have to find out who is he and what his contribution in terms of analytics. With this, I just wanted to quickly take you to one of the panoramic view. This is a video which will take you towards the importance and significance of data visualization. Unfortunately, the data is till 2009, I think, 2009. So they have gathered the data of almost 150 years, and then there is a story in which that whole narrator is basically narrating the whole video. And I would really love to find that in case of any such videos which might be capturing the moments of the COVID-19 also might be available. So I'm sure in the times to come, we are going to get much more videos on it. And if it is not audible, let me know, sir. I think it's not audible, right?
Not audible.
Okay, just give me a second. Okay.
Visualization is right at the heart of my own work too. I teach global health. And I know having the data is not enough. I have to show it in ways people both enjoy and understand. Now, I'm going to try something I've never done before. Animating the data in real space, with a bit of technical assistance from the crew.
So, here we go. First, an axis for health. Life expectancy, from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago, in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubbles show the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe! And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up, Brazil was way behind, Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa.
And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future. With aid, trade, green technology and peace, it's fully possible that everyone can make it to the healthy, wealthy corner.
Well, what you have seen in the last few minutes is a story of 200 countries shown over 200 years and beyond. It involved plotting of 120,000 numbers. Pretty neat, huh?
So that's how we have seen the importance of the data, that how good the data is into. So you have basically, we have in 4 minutes, we have seen the history of 200 years ago, that what has happened. And also the data points, it's almost like 120,000, which means 120,000 data points that he has collected and has projected in the form of a data visualization and conveyed that in the form of a story. With this, I would like to show you some of the best of the visualization of 2021. This is all about the history of the pandemics. So they have collected the data from worldwide, and this is overall right from the start to the current format. So they have started almost, I would say, if you just happen to look onto it, the current one, where are we at present? So you can see that there were a lot of other pandemics that came. We have Russian flu, HIV, AIDS, yellow fever, then you move on to plague, you have moved on to Black Death and many things. All of these have been projected just on one page. So they have a lot of data. This is all like a deadly pandemics, which they have collected right from start of almost, I would say 1000 AD, or maybe before I can even say, I mean, if I zoom it, I may go beyond to maybe 500 AD to 400 AD, and they have projected on to us to 2025. So where are we right now in terms of, if you just happen to look onto it, there are a lot of information which has been shown. The size of this deadly, I would say the balls, itself is giving you an indication that how big that the pandemic was. So here, which is in red, so you can understand that is HIV, AIDS. Then you have green. Then anything which is small in terms of yellow and blue, that effectivity was not that. I should not use this term was effectivity, but anyhow, it's a death toll that we are counting on. So that's how we are thinking. We are talking in terms of the effectivity of the virus in creating the havoc. This is the same thing from the same data. They have basically taken into account from the death toll that all of these pandemics throughout the year have done. And starting up with Black Death, 1347, which was there for almost like 4 years, but it has taken a lot of lives. So everything, it's a form of a report. So think about it, if you have data and if you're preparing a nice report for the company where you are clubbing things with visuals, because at the end of the day, no one is going to read that 200 pages of report that you have prepared. Everyone will be interested into the outcomes. And when you are discussing the outcomes, when you're preparing a PowerPoint presentation, when you're discussing the outcome, always support your discussion with less text and more images, with more visuals that will have more impact onto the listeners. This is another one of the good visuals, which is Hold Me Longer, which is an outcome of research that longer hugs are more pleasurable than 1 second hugs. So that's how you can see here the pleasure rating, and then 1 second, 5 seconds, and 10 seconds. And exactly the same thing. There is hardly any text that you will find in this visual, but it conveying a lot of a good meaning in it, right? So just ignore that spooky hands that you can see here, which seems like a more, kind of enhanced, which we have to see in a horror story. So at one point we are talking about hugs, and another time we are talking about like a spooky hands. So ignoring that, if you just look onto it, it is conveying you certain meaning. So your images is much faster to process and better to remember your images than what you were going to talk in terms of just the text. This is I'm almost on the fag end of my presentation, and then I thought that I should add something which is more towards the marketing part of it. So Tesla, we all know, and you all know what recently the owner of the Tesla has undergone, and then he's still making news every day. So there's a lot more we have seen, a lot more to see in future. So this is a visualization of a Tesla research and development and marketing per car versus the other automakers. So what they have done, the variable that is under study is the advertising cost, and they have taken into account other automakers. So we can see Chrysler here, we can see General Motor, we can see Toyota, and then Ford, and finally the biggest bar is of Tesla. What they are talking about, if you can just look here, research and development and per car sold, which is white in color, which means that how much of the cost that they are putting in terms of research and development. And the red one, this is advertising per car sold, which means that how much advertising they are spending on each car. So usually the organization do not spend advertisement on each car. They spend on advertisement and divided by the number of units that they have produced to get the ratio for it. So you have an advertisement car here and with red, and you have a research and development outlay in white. If you can see for Chrysler, they are spending almost $664 for advertising. Same for Ford, $468. When I happen to look for Tesla, they're spending zero. They're not at all spending anything on advertising. They're spending everything on research and development. So their research and development outlay is very higher. That is $2,984, almost close to $3,000. So you can understand the value of those $3,000. It's almost close to like, I would say 100,000 Indian rupees, 1 lakh Indian rupees that they are spending on research and development of their cars. The reason is this, that they believe everything in research and development and they hardly believe anything in advertising. So I have conveyed this whole information using one graph. And this is the graph which is in front of you. In that, I had a story to sell. It all goods that how good you as a marketer is. So if you're a good marketer, you are definitely going to bring laurels to the company because you have all ingredient preparation and decision making with you. Now, the important thing that is required is how good you are into fabricating a story, which means a story which will sell well also. Definitely, you're not going to recreate any story or you're going to come up with a fake story. That is not what we are talking about. Every data has a meaning, and every meaning you have to come up with a story because stories are always memorable. Stories are always everlasting. So with this, I came to the conclusion of my presentation here. I'm very thankful to Dr. Sudhanshu for approaching me. Very thankful to LDC Institute for giving this platform to be a part of the series. And I'm open to any questions, if at all, if there is any. Over to you, Dr. Sudhanshu.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session and very interesting. The way in which you have presented was so interesting.
Thanks a lot, sir.
know what is the crowd pulling element you have with you. The story, the video, the examples that you quoted are so wonderful. They themselves are crowd pulling elements. The story that you have created, the atmosphere through your presentation you have created is so wonderful. Yes, we have certain questions, 2-3 questions.
Right, sir.
Very little Let me go through it. Oh, it's a scientific one.
What is
Would
it?
you mind going? Acha, let me go through it. What are the best methods for data cleaning? How to identify and remove the duplicate and irrelevant data?
So you
This
have
is-
a lot of, we can do through coding that we use in R and in Python. So you can have the data frame there, and then you should be knowing that what exactly is that. So you should have a better understanding of the data by creating and then running the code over it. So and there are different means of cleaning the data. Definitely that's a noise. So you have to clean your data before you process any information on it. Whether it all depends that what do you use. If you are a user of a Jupyter, you can do that on Jupyter. If you have downloaded Anaconda, then it itself, there are a lot of notebook on which you can get your data connected. There are libraries, inbuilt libraries. You can extrapolate those libraries and use it as your own.
One second. Can we stop this sharing? Please, please. Acha. Let me stop this. There's another question that I have. Yeah. Okay. There's another question. Among the 5 V's of data, which is more important from organization's point of view?
All of them.
All
Because at the end of the day, your goal is value. So value will not be there if you are not getting the correct data. If there is a variety in a data, it all depends what type of data that you're looking for. And then is that the data which is highly dynamic in nature? Because if the data is highly dynamic, that is also a bit of a problem for you. So all of them are equally important because at the end of the day, all 4 contributes towards creating value.
It means they are listening. This questions. What is the difference between? Oh, that's a wonderful one. The difference between data mining and data profiling.
That is something to be asked by computer science.
Beyond.
Yes, that
beyond
doesn't fall. I teach
purview,
visualization.
Beyond the purview of today's discussion. How I can improve my data visualization skills?
The best one, see, in data visualization, we have a lot of tools available. 2 tools predominantly uses, one is Tableau and another one is Power BI. If you just happen to look onto the Tableau, who came first? The question is that who came first? So it's Tableau, which has considerably taken a lot of control over the market till Microsoft realized that it's a good time for them to pitch in. And by the time Microsoft came up with their Power BI, the whole crowd has moved from Tableau to the Power BI for the apparent reason that in order to have a Tableau, you need to have the license of Tableau. But for Power BI, it is something if you have Microsoft with you, you can simply using the same login details, you can download Microsoft Power BI and you can do wonderful visualization there. So if you ask me that which tool you should go for, I think you should go for a Microsoft Power BI. And there are a lot of certifications which are available as well. So if once you have equipped yourself with Power BI, you can sit for the Microsoft certification exams onto their designated test centers, and you'll be certified Microsoft Power BI visuals. You can get that certificate.
Thank you. We have another question. Oh, what are the free software for data cleaning?
Who is this? The person who's after data cleaning? I think Dr. Sudhanshu, you hook him up with you have engineering school, right?
Yes.
So you better hook him up with the engineering school.
They are asking so many things, what they are getting and how they are interpreting things. This is up to them. So another one, this is a very interesting one. How human perception is important. I have asked this question, how human perception is important from data visualization point of view. Has this been taken?
Yeah, human perception was there completely. Pre-attentive processing. That's very important. At the end of the day, say, suppose I gave sketch pens to you, I gave a chart to you, and then I said that, can you draw a scenery. Do you remember still? I mean, I do not know everything. I related to my times. If a chart is given and a sketch pen is given, there is a very common, that pahar that we draw. Then there is a hut, and then there is a row, and then we have one tree. That's why, because it's completely.
And every children
that
used to
every
draw the
children,
same
I
thing.
think. And if my kid will ask, I will also draw the same thing, because that has been completely glued in it, right? It all depends that the ingredients is with you. If you're not able to understand the behavior of those to whom you are going to present your information with, that is what we call human perception. If you do not understand that, then you will fail to draw the correct sketch. You may end up drawing a Burj Khalifa when you have been asked to draw a rustic village look, right? So you may be putting lot of other information therein, which is unwanted, which your audience do not want. So you should understand your audience first. That's the thing we always say, that whenever you are going to speak to and to communicate something, you should know your audience first. So pre-attentive processing, it's very important. Human perception matters a lot. Maybe what you can see, I may not be able to see. But in data visualization, I have to make sure that you should see the same thing which I want you to see. And that is only possible once you understand the behavior and perception part of the audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being so nice, so cordial to us, and accepting our request on just a single writing you accepted. And we are overwhelmed. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is entirely mine, sir. The best thing is this, that I got in touch with you. That's one of the best thing that has happened. So all credit goes to the institute, and congratulations to you for having wonderful session. I'm sure it is really very good and informative for the student as well as for the fraternity.
Yes,
so it's
the
really a
from
good
the students are a mark of their interest in this presentation. We have our director, Dr. Mrinal Kanti Manik sir, to extend vote of thanks to you. Over to
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Director sir.
Good evening to each and every member of the session. I just take the opportunity to welcome to all they are basically to my chief guest.
I think is the system is on mute?
Good afternoon to the all gentlemen and all ladies. It's my opportunity to provide vote of thanks to this session. Especially at the beginning, I welcome, and though the session is over, to today's guest, Mrs. Dr. Suchita Dubey ma'am. She delivered her lecture on the research topic on the data collection, data mining, data visualization, and all other parameters. Basically, data that is raw information about each and every parameter is the basic thing to judge or to research the parameter in final stage. So this is the fundamental issue for a marketing and other all management criteria. So Madam already explained in the details about that part and share his knowledge about this field. And we are really overwhelmed by listening the parameters of her lecture, and we also gathered few knowledge. Though we are not belongs to marketing and management team, my team, those who are already associated, and the students, those who are listening the program, they definitely got some knowledge and also expressed the various ideas about the data resolution process. Though I am really very much thanks to the madam, despite of this his busy schedule, she got his timing and finally share his knowledge in the forum of the academic culture. And really I am thankful to her because of his, though we got very less time to connect her, finally my team, Dr. Sudhanshu and his Masters Business Management of LDC team, they finally collected these many all honorable guest lecturers from different field. And today this madam session is one of the interesting and more lucrative session about the data processing for a management group. I thanks to the chairman of the LDC group, he giving the opportunity to conduct such type of continuous guest lecturer series for the week. And I congratulate and thanks to the team, those who are organizing the program. I also say my gratitude and the thanks to the audience, basically the students, faculty, the staff members, those who are associated with this program. And at the end, I congratulate to our all audience, especially students, those who are associated to listen the program with its leisure time or with its valuable time. And thanks to the madam once again and the team, those who conducting the program. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you to the LDC Institute, Honorable Chairman Shri Sanjay Gupta ji, for extending this, giving us this special opportunity for making this happen. And ma'am, as you belong to a great land and a wonderful seat of learning called Manipal Academy of Higher Education. So a great salute to your institution, to the great land you belong to, the United Arab Emirates and the land of Dubai. And thank you so very much. We are overwhelmed, we are grateful, and shall always be that you shared your valuable moments and precious time for us. Thank you very much. It was indeed a wonderful session. Students enjoyed so very much, and the questions coming are a mark of their interest in your presentation. It was really a wonderful session. Thank you so very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. I would love to meet them face to face, definitely at any point of a time, whenever I'm there
Of course,
in Prayagraj.
most welcome.
Most likely
Whenever
next
you
year.
visit Prayagraj, do visit our institute.
For sure,
Yes,
for sure.
she
The pleasure is
belongs to
entirely
Samurai, she
mine.
belongs to Allahabad, sir.
I'm now I move in Lucknow, but it's my privilege to be a part of it. As already said, that Dr. Sudhanshu happens to be one of the most closest colleague of mine, which happens to we just lost in touch actually. So I think credit goes to the initiative that you have taken, and then we got connected again for many more other research exchange, as well as in some or the other way in which we can take this further. So thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.